So our next panel is Text Talk Tech. What's the right outreach mix in 2026? And that's a question that everyone in this industry is trying to answer right now. From texting to calling to AI and automation, recruiter communication is evolving fast, and this panel is going to dive into what's actually working. So before we get started, I'd love to welcome our sponsor, Candice Reed from Curately AI, to the stage for a brief introduction. Let's give a hand for Candice. Yay.
Good morning, and great to see everyone. Thank you for coming. I am Candice Reed. I lead the Global Alliances at Curately AI. We are absolutely thrilled to be here as a platinum sponsor, and shout out to Oliver and his amazing team. So Curately AI, our mission is very simple, from find to filled. We are enabling staffing and recruiting teams to accelerate hiring through AI-powered sourcing, candidate engagement, and automations, really allowing recruiters to focus on building relationships and making placements, and less time on those mundane, repetitive tasks. So we're excited to be introducing this amazing panel of speakers that bring a wealth of knowledge and different perspectives from across the industry. So excited to hear the session today. Thank you so much, everyone.
Let's get up for Candice, everybody. All right, guys, welcome back. Whoa, welcome back. All right, so this is a really, really fun panel. The whole thing behind this, right, is we have so many touch points and so many different communication mediums with the clinicians right now. If you think about it, right, it was phone calls, right? Now it was texting, then it was always email, right? And now it's social, now it's engagement, now it's AI, and it's automation. Right? There's so many different ways. And we also have recruiters. So we have recruiters as well who have to navigate the sea of all these different things. And, as new mediums are coming online, and they're evolving so fast, guys, so fast, right? The recruiters are sometimes left in the middle thinking like, well, what do I do, right? So we've seen people that have engaged AI and automation, the recruiters have dipped down because they've taken their foot off the gas. Not because they want to, but AI's got it. Automation's got it. They're going to serve me a candidate. They're going to serve me a clinician ready to go. So there's this constant battle of like, what's the right mix? Do we call first? Do we text first? Do we do AI first? Where do we go? Right? So this panel is going to help provide some clarity and tell you what they're doing and kind of their viewpoints on it. So Talk, Text, Tech. Want to introduce everybody? We'll start down the line here. My friend Jason Dailey. You can go ahead and introduce yourself first.
Jason Dailey with Primetime Healthcare, Vice President of Recruitment. Happy to be here. Looking forward to this.
Jenni Lundy with Titan Medical, and I'm a recruiter.
Braxton Akins with Rhino Medical, Director of whatever, because that's what you do in staffing.
And I'm Kelsey Boes, Senior Director of Marketing for Ingenovis Health.
All right, great. And so we're going to I got to call this out first of all. So Braxton, by the way, is like one of my favorites because whenever he emails us, he does it in pirate dialogue, right? So the way I got familiar with Braxton is my team's like, hey, one of our clients is only responding to us via email in pirate talk. And it made its way around the office. I think we posted one of them. So Braxton is going to be awesome on this panel. But you have to answer any question in pirate dialogue. Can you do that for me?
Fair enough.
Arg? Okay, let's go. All right. Kelsey, you're up first. First question we have here. How has the rise of automation and AI changed the quality of conversations recruiters are having? Go ahead and answer, and anyone else who wants to jump in, feel free.
Yeah, sure. I would say from my perspective, the biggest challenge right now is everybody is using the same AI platforms and everybody's messaging looks the same, right? So anytime I see an emoji or a long dash or something, it's a clear sign that somebody used ChatGPT. So I think the biggest thing right now that I'm encouraging my recruiters and really anybody on my team is obviously leveraging AI for efficiency, but the need to tailor the message specific to your own personality and your own brand is critical. Otherwise, every candidate, every client is going to see the same message just with a different brand attached to it.
I think the rise in automation overall has shown us how much of this is not necessary. How much of this communication that we already should have available. A lot of what we're missing in the pieces of what we do in locum tenens in particular is making sure that our candidate profiles are updated, using AI to actually enrich our data to find out exactly what that person is instead of having to start off cold. So nothing's worse than a cold call. What's worse is even a cold text. If I have no idea that that is an urgent care nurse practitioner versus a cardiac intensive ICU, my message is lost. Nothing actually progresses, and now I've damaged the company's reputation. Not just over automation in and of itself, but the problem is that there's not data enrichment behind making curative texting.
I'm just going to say I agree. The messaging you said was 100% on brand. I see recruiters all the time just going to ChatGPT with a general text and 14 emojis, and then they send it. And when I go through, our list of candidates, I'm seeing the same message over and over again. So I really do think it's a great tool to potentially fix your grammar, but not to develop the whole message.
Yeah, I think it's helped give us a ton more opportunities, but are they the right opportunities? So it doesn't mean it's a positive thing. We may have thousands of more people to reach out to, but are they the right people to reach out to? I think that's the most important thing, is making sure we're hitting the right audience and you're still able to build your personal brand and relationship with each person. And that gets tough when you're trying to reach out to 10,000 people now because you have more opportunities.
Yeah, I think, when we were at NATHA, right, they were talking about, are you leveraging, tech and AI to solve a specific problem, or are you just trying to bring on tech and AI, right? So I think it starts with the why are we doing this and backs into that, right? But that's great points. All right, so the next question we have is going over to Braxton. What channel or approach do you think is going to make a comeback that agencies are currently undervaluating?
Okay, first thing, anybody here, when you get an AI on the phone and you need to actually speak to someone, what is your premium immediate response? Representative. I want to talk to a real person, human, somebody. So again, we're a smaller business. We still operate the same. Our phone number is picked up every day or night, whatever, all the things that everybody else here does. But the premium experience anymore is actually talking to someone, actually hearing inflection in their voice, hearing the care. There's so many things that you can never convey in text. How many things have been misconstrued in emails, text, even every content on your website. Everything you can overanalyze in social gets completely overridden when you actually sit down and talk to someone. So I think the voice is going to be the next thing. But again, data influenced voice. I need to know, and I need to have the confidence that I know that that is a hospitalist. I know what their background is going to be. I know where they're working. I know all these different things about them that I don't even have to ask, because that's going to generate credibility for the conversation and continue the premium experience and voice. If you're unable to have that, then you're damaging your credibility. You're not knowing what you're talking about, and ultimately that's how you fall behind.
I think, just the personal touch, right? That's what's coming back. We found a way to connect with so many more people, but how do you make it matter? What's great about our industry and the recruiters that we have is they're their own person. They're what makes this thing successful. And while we've given them more opportunities, they have to find a way to have people connect with them, right? Have people connect with them individually, want to work with them. That's why someone works with one agency versus another, is because of who they're working with, and how do we find ways to encourage that and make their relationship stronger with whatever target market they're going after.
I think there's a time and a place for a text message or an email, but you can't get rid of that actual relationship building conversation. Pick up the phone. That's what I like to tell everyone. And I think that has kind of, during COVID, that went away. It was very transactional, and we are back to the basics now. Pick up the phone, leave a voicemail, follow up with your text, your email. But the phone call, building that relationship is the most important and should make a comeback.
Who would have thought the texts or the phone calls are back in vogue? It's cool again. All right. So, and it's true, right? Because how many of these clinicians are getting so many texts, so many touch points, and they all sound the same. They look the same. They can sniff them out. But now, like just even a great voicemail or a voicemail drop for that matter is standing out, right? 2 years ago, it was like, oh, send me a text, don't call. And now we're getting back to the clinicians want humanity. They want to talk to someone. Yes, they want AI, and AI can help us move. So, well, AI is a great accelerant, but it's that line, right? It's like, where does it replace the recruiter, and where does it go too far, right? And we've seen some of that in some of the products where it's like, well, hey, these are really great, but let us do that part. But then, like you said, there's a lot that kind of help with. So, all right, Jenni, got one more for you. What's something candidates have become less tolerant in recruiter communications?
Lack of response, forgetting to call back. What I like to tell our newer recruiters that come in the office is if you tell someone you're going to do something, you do it, or 149 other recruiters will. So making sure that, you speak the truth. You like to be transparent. Don't sugarcoat it just to get the placement. Explain the ins and outs of everything, be as honest as possible, and then just do what you say you're going to do.
I would also say just getting multiple text emails from different recruiters from the same organization in a single day at this point is unacceptable from a candidate's perspective. So I just stress, obviously from my side on the marketing team, like I can control what's going out and what's being suppressed to ensure that that doesn't happen. But there also needs to be those conversations from the recruiting team of, all right, who's taking this job, so that we don't have people on top of each other trying to contact the same candidates. So just that transparency and strategy behind that, and utilizing the tools that you have available to ensure that that stuff doesn't happen. But just a combination between the two, I think that eliminates a lot of frustration from the candidate.
I think overall, everyone here is a consumer, including everyone we work with, our clients, our customers, everything. And the biggest thing we can do is add friction. The number one thing that we see more drop off than anything else is friction. If I have to request documents that I already have, if there's lack in internal communication that creates candidate-facing friction, they're going to bail. I can't tell you how many things I've left in my Amazon cart and just said, you know what, I don't really need this. And that's just how quickly somebody else can say, you know what, there's 20 other people that called me this morning for the same assignment. So I'm going to go with one of them.
I think it's interesting too, because, as we're kind of going through this automation layer, we're adding on these different parts. We've had partners that have added on tech and automation, and it's helped them scale. It's helped them become faster, right? But then there's always this like drop off, right? We had an agency that was doing, I think they had 100 clinicians on assignment from from TravelNurseSource at one given time, and then they implemented a technology provider, and like literally in 4 months they completely dropped. And they were really upset, and we said, "Well, this doesn't sound right because we didn't make any big changes, did we? Like we didn't make any big changes." And so we said, "Look, we actually siphoned off lead volume from the platform. We actually spun up campaigns, and we separated lead volume. And we said, look, client and partner, we're going to send you these clinicians off platform. They only go to you. We're not going to charge you for them because again, we're partners. We're going to figure out where this is. We sent them 100 clinicians, 100 leads to their jobs." And so we're going to go back and chase every single one of these 100 and find out where it dropped. And 2 days into it, calls back and says, we can stop. We can stop. We figured out what it was. And it was, they onboarded this texting automation platform where they were able to, kind of have those automatic follow-ups, right? And it was doing a fantastic job. It was engaging. It was bringing in interest and bringing people in top of funnel or reactivating the database. But again, there's that adoption issue where the recruiters were getting it and nobody was responding to the texts. So, sending out a text message, MedSurg in Las Vegas, the response was, "Oh, great, can you submit me?" Ghosted. Nothing. The recruiters didn't even know it was coming back. So we found all these that were happening. So, as we're talking about this type of stuff too, I think it's really important just not to evaluate a tool, but how it fits in the organization, and then make sure everyone's trained and there's follow-ups there because you can lose it. So anyway, next question goes to Jason. What does it take for a recruiter to actually stand out in a candidate's inbox or voicemail today?
I think being yourself and consistency, Those two things are very important, but also your brand. So whether you're using TikTok or Facebook or LinkedIn, having them know you're a real person, especially with all the AI now, I think that's so important to make sure that as you're reaching out, you're connecting them back to who you really are and what you're about, so they can connect with that. And if you're somebody or like sports and that person is posting about that or likes that, then that's an easy way to make a connection and differentiate that between the 1,000 different messages they're getting that are just generic all the time.
I would agree. I would also say, and Braxton has said this multiple times, so good job. Segmentation, right? Like a lot of the times that we're sending out these communications, recruiters just want to send, and I always say like boiling the ocean, send it out to anybody like, oh, well, they might have this state license and we just don't have it in our database. And it's like, no, we need to send to a targeted audience, making sure that all the information that we have available on their profile is what we are referencing for the opportunity. So just making sure that that message is relevant. Otherwise, it's not going to land, and that's where you get unsubscribes and opt-outs.
I completely agree with you there. What I like to do is I like to target a specific audience. How the panelists last time said they strictly stick to Montana. I like to have my certain states. Of course, I place all 50 states, but I like to search by my own name in our software, people that I've talked to previously or have had messages from me, and they aren't necessarily as scared off because they know who I am already.
That's a great one. I would say too, I'm gonna go off script here, but where does social come into this, right? So we talked text, email, but like you just talked about kind of warming up a candidate, especially with like Apple, iPhone spam and things like that now, where it's blocking a lot of outbound calls. One of the great things that we've learned, and I got to plug Sarah May again, right? We had if you guys aren't listening to our TalentTrack podcast, you should, because we did great one with Sarah. And she warms up the clinicians on social before she even calls them, right? She wants them to know that she's legitimate, she's authentic, and she is who she is before she calls. And that's one of the easiest ways you can do, not just a brand build, but to also kind of get in front of them before you call so they actually pick up the phone, right? Would you guys agree?
I would to a degree, and just because of the vertical we're in, right? I deal primarily in locum tenens work. We're 90% locums, and frankly, a lot of physicians are not as active on social media. Now, that is changing quite a bit with the age, right? Everybody's getting younger out of residency and things like that. But overall, nobody really has time. So as far as like a sourcing technique, we're not finding a lot of success in social sourcing, but rather, just like anybody else, right? I'm going to look up the Yelp reviews. I'm going to look up the Indeed profile. I'm going to look up all these different things about a person, and social definitely plays a role into that. Because after I've talked to somebody, if I'm really going to engage with them, if I'm going to trust my career to working with these people and really just trust that when I get off a plane in Joplin, Missouri, that my rental car will be ready, I'm going to do everything I can to check them out. So social is kind of playing a role, but really for us in the physician sphere, more on the back end of once communication has already been established.
I'm marketing, so I have an opinion on social. No, Braxton's right. Like from a physician standpoint, because that's the vertical that I'm in as well. We're not going to get a job from a physician on social media. LinkedIn would probably be the only relevant one. But in terms of brand building, like I'm constantly getting asked, hey, we need to be on TikTok, we need to be on Instagram, all this stuff, which in reality, that takes a full-time employee to run those channels well. So I've just been encouraging my recruiters, hey, just jump into a conversation. If you see a TikTok of a doctor talking about, a bad shift that they had or something like that, jump in, shoot them a message and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I work with Ingenovis Health, just curious about, what your experience has been, where are you looking for job opportunity? I mean, anything. And just having that one-to-one connection really is going to be the piece that allows you to be successful across social. It's hard because it's not going to be that instant ROI, but for relationship building, brand building, it is a good tool.
There's a lot of options. So we promote, what you're passionate about, what you're good at. We don't force somebody who wants to do LinkedIn or Facebook or TikTok. It's your choice because it's who you are and what you want to be good at and what you feel connects you to the audience you want to create and have success with. So using whatever one you're using, you use it a lot. Be consistent. Connect and build your network that way. That's the recipe that works for us.
I do all of them. A lot of the reason is we have an incredible social media marketing person who likes to send me leads when she sees Phoebe. You probably know who she is. But she sends us leads on TikTok. I have a traveler from TikTok. I am 42 years old. I don't TikTok. But I comment on them and I like to look at recipes, and now my algorithm is all nurses. Well, one day these people may have a bad day with their agency and go, that Jenni chick messaged me a few different times. Maybe I'll reach out to her. Same with Facebook. I don't post a ton of jobs just because there's so many rules behind it these days as far as what you can post or how many details. But just commenting, offering your opinion, letting them talk to your nurses, like Jordan said, whatever really works. Getting your name out there, your company's name, I think is the most important aspect of social media.
Ian, there's kind of like a social selling funnel, right? Like just like there is a staffing funnel, right? There's top of funnel, bottom of funnel. And it's funny how like we won't pick up the phone and say, hey, prime time, you want to go to this place, right? Like we build the relationship, we find out who they are, and then we start working our way down the funnel to see if they're qualified, they're interested, and move them down into a decision point of, yeah, can I submit you, right? But on social, agencies flip that. They go right into like, oh, hey, San Diego, California, med-surg, $2,300 a week, closing fast, quick interviews. Are you good? Can I submit you? Right? We don't do that in any other medium, but social we do, right? And it's a really bad mistake. One of the things that we really, suggest is kind of starting at that top of funnel, building that relationship. Again, I'm going to keep plugging Sarah May. By the way, if any of you guys didn't listen to Sarah May's interview on the TalentTrack podcast, you should go to Spotify and go to TalentTrack podcast, download it. It was awesome. But, one of the things that she was saying, sorry, Sam, I'm talking for you here. One of these things she was saying is that she spent 2 months on social channels just listening. Didn't communicate, didn't respond. She literally just listened. She found out what nurses liked, what they didn't like, what they wanted to talk about, what their pain points were, where they were going, before she even dropped a single piece of content. And then, even from there, she didn't post jobs, right? She went in and answered questions. She added value. Oh, you have questions about this facility? Hey, I have a traveler at this hospital. Would you like me to introduce you to them so you can ask them all about it? Right? She hasn't even dropped, hey, do you want to work with me? Do you want to set up a call? Do you want to do this? All she's doing, she's playing the long game. She's providing value. And they said, yeah. And what did this traveler do when they got on the phone, right? Not only did they say how great they like the facility, but they say, hey, by the way, Sarah's awesome. Have you talked to her yet? No, right? She's becoming a brand evangelist. And I think that's the real play on socials. How do you create an army of brand evangelists that are going to go to work for you? But that's a different mindset than just blasting jobs all over social. Right, so I think as we're talking talk, text, say that 3 times fast. Social has got to be part of that equation. But Jenni, we're going to go back to you for your first sec. Are agencies over-optimizing for response rates and speed instead of quality? Second part of the question. What metrics actually matter when addressing the effectiveness of candidate communications? What do you think?
I don't like KPIs. I don't like metrics. I think... sorry, Doug. I'm sorry.
Dun, dun, dun.
My COO is here. Yeah.
Close your ears.
I think I'm going to say this again. It's a time and a place. When you're brand new to recruiting, you have to have some type of benchmark. What do? You make the dials. That's the plan. But if it takes you 20 phone calls to place 20 nurses or 700 to place 20 nurses, that's your own avenue. So I think it's very much a combination of literally everything. What was the first part of the question?
Are agencies over-optimizing, and then what metrics actually matter? So if it was your agency, what metrics would you be looking at?
I like talk time. I think that's a big one because I'd rather have 10, 20-minute conversations that are meaningful versus 100 voicemails. Talk time, I think, is great. And then we do, like, if I've built a packet for someone, if I've actually built out their profile and got their certifications and kind of got down to the nitty-gritty, that to me is more meaningful than any number of emails I could send, text messages, or phone calls.
Like a sales qualified lead in SQL. Yeah, I agree with you.
I'd imagine there's even a handful of people in this room who have self-admittedly over-automized, right? Too much automation, too much, wow, that's the wrong word. Too much automation, too quickly, too much adoption. Everybody's getting left behind with AI. What have we been hearing for the last 3 years? You're not allowed to not talk about any kind of conference without mentioning AI. If you're not using it now, you're getting left behind, all these different things. It's great. Okay, we all are using it in our own various ways. If you're touching AI at all, you're already in the curve. But really what we're looking at is conversion metrics. I love talk time. I'm a huge proponent of it. We want people extending conversations, but at the end of the day, we're talking to very busy people. That's the unfortunate candidate that has the time to talk to that may be your most difficult to place. So I really want to look at what are we doing in outreach and how is it converting? And then how do we convert those internal conversions to presentations, name clears to the client? And then also my next, outreach for text message is retention. I want to make sure that my people know that I'm there for them at all times. So yes, I have a few automations set through our system to send out text messages from our internal team all the time, just to let them know, hey, we're here. And then they'll get responses back, and it's a surprise to them on the recruiter level. They're just like, hey, so-and-so reached out. And I'm like, yeah, automation at work. But over automation is also a big problem. So I think KPI is the only thing that really matter is, are we converting? Are we getting there quick enough? And are we keeping what we've actually put in play?
Yeah, submissions and submission to placement ratio, I think is key. I love talk time too. I mean, that helps you build a relationship and get there. But where can we improve, right? How can we improve, get from 8-to-1 submission to placement ratio to 3-to-1? And then who can get more submissions? And if they're getting more submissions, then we can help navigate some of those conversations to get them over the finish line.
I agree with that. But I also think, from a recruiter standpoint, I can lock down the candidate all day, but now it's in the client manager's hands. I can only do so much. I take a lot of pride in the fact that I have a really great, pretty high percentage of candidates that will not turn down a job. I think it's only happened once or twice in my career, unless maybe they have multiple offers. That's the ideal situation. But I'm not submitting to submit. I use the terminology like we don't submit for sport, but I can only do so much. I can't, make HWL select my candidate, Kat. But
come on,
maybe
Kat.
next time. Right. So I really do think like that submission to placement, I look at more of, I think that's a really hard metric, Jason, strictly just because I'm not going to submit someone to 20 jobs when they only want this one. So if they get offers 2 through 19, they're going to say no because they want to hold out for number one. So it's a lot of how long are you willing to wait until we start looking at other opportunities.
Fair enough. Kelsey, you got one?
I mean, I'm more at the top of the funnel, right? So from my standpoint, it's if a recruiter was able to connect with the candidate, then at least I know it had a good phone number. If they didn't, then that means I brought in a bad lead. So I'm really looking at making sure that the quality of the data that I'm bringing in for the candidate in terms of the contact information is accurate so that the recruiters can have effective conversations.
That's a good one. I'm wondering too, like, do you guys in this conversation of KPIs, we're looking at like talk time, submissions, obviously placements. So are we looking at back out rates or redistribution or redeployment rates in that? Is that just as important or no?
For me, yes. I mean, so here's the deal. Like a lot of the email platforms today, I think most people know, they'll automatically open an email for you. They'll automatically put an email in spam. So those like really high level metrics don't mean as much to me. But for people who obviously reply to an email or a text or are engaging with any of the content that's on the email, that's what matters to me to know, like, was this interesting to the candidate? Okay, we need to do more of this, or these types of messaging just aren't landing, so we need to pivot our approach.
Did you mean backouts as far as like backing out of an offer? Okay, absolutely. I think
Or ghosting.
No, I agree with that though too. I would love to see those metrics, like how many people unsubscribe from my emails. But as far as backing out from an offer, I think that it's going to happen. You can check off every box and that candidate can still blow your mind and say, never mind, I don't want that. However, it is so detrimental to our company, and I mean any company, when you have multiple backouts with vendors. because, as much as we all love directs, we have to also utilize vendors to have a successful operation. And we have to do our best to try to limit those number of backouts. I think
gets
that's,
mad.
yeah. Right? Would you agree? Best case scenario, my favorite thing in the world to do, and I apologize for vendors out there, is when we get to say, sorry, we're declining the offer because XYZ moved faster. Because that's really, we want to move speed to business 24 hours, 48 max. And when you get an offer 3 weeks later, no, I'm not looking at you, but that literally just happened to someone in our company. An offer came over like 3.5 weeks after they were submitted. And we're like, she's already started a new job. So that's my favorite part.
And that's hard, right? Because we're conditioning the clinicians to move fast. We're creating a sense of urgency with our clinicians to get them to move forward quickly with us, right? To maybe drop some of the other conversations, right? So, Mr. or Mrs. Clinician, hey, interviews are happening tomorrow. We got to get your submission package ready to go. We want you to be first in line. There's very little tools that we have as staffing agencies beyond like pay rates and obviously the attributes of our agency to really create that sense of urgency, that FOMO, right? And if it's not pay rates, which none of us want it to be, then we need some of those levers to help us move forward. And sometimes the speed to market is basically like, hey, we want to get you in first, or interviews are happening tonight, or you don't want to be, there's 40 people already submitted to this vendor. I don't think this is a good one, but if you do want to do it, we got to move, right? So, we as agencies push really hard to move really fast. So it's really helpful on the other end when it continues to move forward. But also the vendors aren't at the mercy of that either because they have to go to the facilities, right? So it's interesting how that works. Do you have something to add, Jason, on this one or no? Okay. Braxton, how should agencies be coaching recruiters differently today around communication? Specifically, let me add on to that. Every time we get asked this, it's crazy. It's like, do we text first? Do we call first? Do we email first? Do we text while we're emailing? Like, how do you guys do it? And how do you train and make sure everyone's doing it the same way?
Yeah, that's fun. So we have a few different core tenets at our company, one of which is be distinctive. So I'm never going to tell anybody to do the same way. There is no script. And the reason for that is the way in which we train, right? For locum tenens, it's a slow ramp up process to get a recruiter off the ground, right? But we tell them, I'm not here raising Cessnas, I'm wanting 747s. Once you're up and off the ground and going, you're going to be confident in doing everything. And part of that is education. I don't ever want to have an answer from a recruiter that by the way, they're not allowed to talk to me for the first few months in. Shocking. But they finally get to me and I'm like, okay, where's your hospital? What does it look like? What is a hospitalist going to do here? What's the chain of command look like? How many ask them incredibly in-depth questions. And the problem is I have 2/3 of my jobs that are running through a VMS portal, right? I've got 500 open jobs right now today. 2/3 of which are from a VMS. Does everybody have immaculate information coming from your VMS? Not a hand. So again, it's up to us, right? You're the agency. You're the guy that has to instill the confidence in the next chain. Why am I working with you? Well, you have the best information available because we're using AI, because we're using the tools outside. But for particular training, I need a physician recruiter to be able to jump from a hospitalist need in the morning to a mammography in the afternoon and know exactly the personality types, the phenotypes, the exact type of individual that even gets into that field. Why did you become a hospitalist? And they communicate differently than an emergency medicine physician. It goes the same for everybody else. Why did we all choose this job? Probably a little bit of ADHD running through the crowd. Just a little bit. It's okay. We'll all self-admit. But at the end of the day, we train our recruiters up to where I need multifaceted people that can jump and move and alter because, again, we value being adaptable, being changeable. And the thing is, you have to cater your text messages and your outreach to that team. I had ER physicians I would send bullet points to and go, you good? And that's it. And yeah, we're good. They were military background. They had all these different reasons. And you're only going to find that out by talking to them, right? How do I actually want to be approached? So the biggest deal is you need to learn basically everything. You're working in ER, go watch The Pit. Go look at procedures on YouTube. Do everything you can to understand where they're coming from professionally. And then you can be weird and figure out their personality. Let your weird shine with their weird. And that's why they'll pick up your phone call and say, hey, Brax, what do you got?
Let your weird, what was that? Let your weird shine with their weird? Yeah. Love it. All right, who's next? Kelsey, you got one? Jenny got one? Jason?
I mean, I would say that it really doesn't even matter your mix of like text, email, call. I think it goes back to speaking to the preferences of the candidate. So, and to Braxton's point, especially on the physician side, they can be harsh, right? So, I mean, if you have a grammar error, they're going to call you out on it. If you refer to something incorrectly, they're going to call you out on it. So you do have to educate yourself, especially if you're specialty focused, of like, what are the interests of these people? What are things that are out in the news right now? And there's tons of resources that we provide to the team to be able to utilize for that. So I just find that to be more critical.
I think just the open, honest, communication. We need to provide the best customer service out there possible, right? Like whatever that is, and that's understanding, that's listening to what they want, what they're saying, what the right fit is, and then our job is to match that up and be responsible. Good or bad news, deliver that as quickly as possible and let them know and keep them engaged throughout the journey.
I set an expectation at the beginning that they're going to hear my voice at minimum once a week. I call all my travelers typically on Wednesdays. I did it all yesterday. I think, like I said before, I think text messages are great. Emails are great. Social is great for quote unquote stalking your travelers to learn a little bit more about them. But the phone call, they know that I'm going to call. That is the most important out of all three.
All right, guys, before we get to Q&A, we're going to go lightning round here. Question is, we're going to start all the way at the bottom, all the way at the back, all the way at the bottom. All the way back. If you had to cut your outreach, let me start that one again. If you had to cut your outreach strategy down to just 2 channels, what would you keep and why? Hit it.
Email and call. For the people who don't want to talk to somebody, they'll start with an email, see if they like you, then they'll pick up the phone. For a deal to actually get done, you have to have a conversation.
Text and phone. I've never once closed a deal via text, but I've certainly opened plenty. And then you close it with a phone call.
Agreed. Not a mass text, just a regular text and a phone call.
It's like call on social media. Those would be the 2.
Very good. We always say text open calls and phone calls, close calls, right? During COVID, it was just text for everything, but obviously not today. Well, hey, I want to thank our panels. Before we keep go here, we want to do some Q&A. So I'm going to give you about 10 seconds before our Q&A people start coming out with microphones. Start thinking some questions. Give them some hard ones, ladies and gentlemen. Come on. Let's go. Who's got the first question and who's it going to? We got a couple hands up. Give them a hard one. Don't make it easy. Right, Jason?
Hi, Paul with Highland Staffing. I'm over this side, Ollie Braxton team.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, Kat at HWL. Thought I'd say hello as well.
Cat's getting some love over here, man.
I actually wrote down 2-part question, but it kind of goes in one. So I'm super familiar with Primetime and Titan because I live here in Omaha. I've driven by you guys' office a lot. You're relatively a bigger agency that probably are here. I'm intrigued to know what your recruiter count is. And as a result of that, has AI/text talk, text, and the other part of this question.
Everything else.
Has it changed your KPIs within the industry? If so, how? How are you measuring those metrics now? Because it's a lot quicker to hit auto dial than dial the number. And also, has your rule of engagement changed with your staff? Because it used to be for me 30 days, but now there's a lot more aggression on because there's a lot more tools to help you communicate. Have you guys changed your rule of engagement at the bigger agencies as we scale up as a smaller agency?
Sure, we have about 90 recruiters. I think KPIs haven't changed a lot. All right, the sense of urgency, it's there. It's not 30 days. It's 14 days. Right. We got to make sure we're connecting. We're reaching out. We're just the hustle. I think everybody feels that, right, over the last couple of years, making sure that we're not missing out on opportunities. We don't have time to text once and wait around, right? We got to be aggressive. We got to make sure that we're doing every single thing we can to connect. And that's why we talked a little bit about, social media, calls, emails. It all matters. And the consistency with that is the key, right? It can't just be once in a while. It has to be all the time.
To be incredibly transparent, I have absolutely no idea our head count. I'm in our nursing division. We do have like our long-term care CNA LPN side and also our allied, but I would say it's probably roughly the same size as prime time. As far as like metrics and what rules of engagement, I think you said, typically it's like a 2-day rule. You snooze, you lose. You need to either have something documented that says why you're not contacting that person. They're out of the country for 2 weeks, whatnot, but we really are. It's kind of look at the notes and don't be sneaky, be respectful, but it's a 2-day rule for us.
How about you guys down there?
Oh, I thought this was just for nursing. Sorry, we were just hanging back here like, oh yeah.
Anything you want to contribute?
Let's see. We're currently about 50. During COVID, we went incredibly big. We jumped into travel nursing, never did that before. Scaled up to 250 employees, knocking down federal contracts and everything else we could get, in hand. But have since pulled back down and pulled back into locums, which is a bit more limited in your body count, right? Your total candidates deployed, but obviously a little bit higher up in the pyramid scheme of healthcare.
With rules of engagement, just to kind of, it varies, right? We're talking about a lot of different things. If they're on your desk, if they're not, if anybody's talked to them, if they're not. So I just think if we want to get a little more granular, we can talk about that later. But just in general, the sense of urgency is there.
How about, we got any other questions? I have a bunch of hands up. Who's next?
We can hear you, brother.
Hey, I love what you said. Start with a text, finish with a call. My question is about email, and you guys may have covered it if I missed it. How effective you think email is for outreach? For travel, I'm assuming not very much. What do you think, and what do you think about permanent roles?
Yeah, if you don't have a relationship, I'd say email is. You do it, but you got to keep it short and sweet. Perm, we don't do a lot of perm placements at prime time.
I placed someone 2 months ago from an email because she goes, "You've texted me a bunch and you've called me, but now I got to see your face." So I think it's just hitting the right person at the right time. So I will do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we do find value in the email campaigns, but understanding it's all about the source. There's so many companies out there that sell email lists of physicians and say, "Hey, do you want to reach all the Florida ER physicians? Raise your hand and tell me how great that list ended up being." Fabulous. All right. Anybody made a placement of it? No. All right. So again, it's all efficacy is in as so far as much your data is consistently good.
I would also say job-specific emails typically aren't the best performing, but like when we do an email campaign around our referral bonus program, if we're doing a licensure campaign, like the more, broad-based campaigns that we do via email, those perform really well.
Very good. We got time for one quick question. Who's got the last one? Who's going to close us out?
I don't know if I'm on. Yeah.
Oh, you're on.
You said HWL wasn't giving you enough offers. What's going on with those guys?
Oh, poor Kat.
I just use Kat as an example. I love Kat and HWL because I know they were here. But you have to admit, we've all been there where we submit to some type of vendor and it's crickets. So if you could tell your vendor friends to.
By the way, guys, Kat has a panel later. She's going to get you all back. She has 45 minutes of retribution coming.
As a follow-up and a representative of Titan, Jenni, is there any other vendor you'd like to address, call out?
I feel like we're just
Trio's here. Trio, hey, where are you guys? Yeah.
All right. I think that's the great way to end this session, everybody. Can we give a round of applause for Braxton, Kelsey, Jason, Jenni from Talk Text and Text?